So when is the right time to start running ads for your online business? I'm gonna answer that for you in this video. Let's roll.
Back on deck on my fly, really on my, pay some respect to my mindset, head blowing smoke, catch a contact, really mad they can't stop us, back on the scene, young conscious, always been me, I'm popping, I ain't really here for the gossip, nah.
All right, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel here, and in today's video, again, I'm gonna talk to you about answering the question of when should I start spending money on ads for my online business, right? So whether you run an online coaching, consulting, a course business, an agency, some sort of service providing type of business, whatever it is, if you're wondering when you should start spending money on ads to actually start acquiring new clients and customers for your business, again, I'm going to go deep on that question here in this video. So let's roll. Now, real quick, before we dive into the meat and potatoes, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button here on the channel. And even more importantly, turn on post notifications if you want to make sure you get notified of new videos coming out just like this one. I talk about all things marketing, advertising, business growth, entrepreneurship. I talk about my own personal experiences with kind of just spirituality and my own life and all that good stuff. So again, if you want to make sure you stay up to date here with my content on the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell for post notifications. So when should you start spending money on ads, right? So guys, again, for context, what I'm about to share with you, these insights and strategies and advice, etc., I just want you guys to know it doesn't come from me taking a bunch of courses but never having actually done any of what I'm talking to you guys about doing, right? So if you haven't seen much of my content here on the channel, I used to run a 7-figure online coaching business called Agency Hypergrowth, which I ended up selling in August of 2021. I've also personally worked with some of the biggest names and brands in the online marketing space. For example, I was the director of marketing for a traffic and funnels brand. If you guys don't know who they are, they're pretty freaking big in the online space. And in this current moment in time, I am overseeing a lot of the marketing and media buying for one of the biggest brands in the space, Closers.io, run by Mr. Cole Gordon. So again, this comes from personal hands-on experience, not just what I've heard from 10 other people. So if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you're likely considering starting to spend some money on ads, right? So here's how I personally think through, if I'm working with a client or doing consulting work or even done for you work, here's how I think through whether or not I recommend someone start spending money on ads. And this is the process I'd recommend you take as well. So the first thing I ever do is, and for example, I'll treat this as if I'm working with you as a client. Say, you watching this video, you come to me, hey, I'm thinking of spending money on ads. The first thing I'm gonna ask you about is your existing offer. So what I'm not gonna do is say, well, how much money do you have in the bank account? It's not about that, because you can have 50K in the bank account, 100K or 5K. That plays a role, but not nearly as much of a role on whether or not you actually have a proven offer, right? So if you're starting purely from scratch, you don't have any clients or customers for your business, you just have an idea or you just have a service, then I highly recommend you don't even start thinking about ads. And I recommend the first thing you do is just go out and get some clients. Even if you charge 10 times less than what you ultimately want to be charging. Again, if you're just like ground floor level, you shouldn't even be thinking about ads. Now, if you have an offer where you've taken people through it, again, whether it's a coaching program, a course, you're an agency providing a done-for-you service, whatever it is, you've had at least 2, 3, 4, 5 clients come through that service or coaching program, and you have at least a couple of case studies, a couple of sort of proof points, right? Like, here's what I was able to do for or with XYZ person, right? So again, that's the first thing I look for. Do you have an existing offer that is proven to work in the market you're trying to serve? That is the first question I ask, and that is the first question I highly recommend you ask yourself when deciding whether or not to start running ads. And so if the answer to that question is no, meaning you do have an offer, but maybe you've taken one person through it and they haven't quite gotten their results yet, maybe it just takes time or whatever it is, you really need to focus your energy and attention on your offer. So making your offer better and more enticing to your market, which comes down to understanding your market, and I'll make some more videos on that. And number 2, serving your existing clients. So again, if the answer is no, if you don't yet have a proven offer that is shown to work inside the market you're looking to serve and you're getting great results, you need to look at dialing that in first before looking at paid advertising. Because guys, here's the thing, paid advertising at the core is nothing more than just taking gasoline and pouring it onto a fire that's already burning. If there is no fire, right? Or if it's a fire that's burning in the wrong direction, for example, the only thing paid advertising will ever do for your business if you don't have a proven existing offer is just shine a light on that problem and exaggerate it even more. It's the same thing with someone who, say is kind of an asshole, right? Like they're just not very nice to people. If they go out and all of a sudden start making a ton of money, that money, the only thing that money is going to do is just shine a spotlight and exaggerate and amplify what's already inside that person. That's why they say money is an amplifier, right? So it's the same thing here with paid advertising. You guys have to understand that. Now, if the answer is yes, if you do have a proven offer, right? So the next question I would ask is, okay, you've got an offer, you've got some, let's just say, for example, you run an advertising agency, right? Which is the business I first started back in 2017. I've been doing a lot of work in that industry the past couple of years, so I understand that industry pretty intimately. You run an advertising agency, say you're serving e-commerce stores, for example, right? You have 6 active clients, 5 out of the 6 are getting kick-ass results, you've got case studies, proof to show, etc. The next question that I highly recommend you ask, and this is what I personally ask anyone I'm working with, is what are you willing to spend to acquire a customer? That is one of the most important questions you must ask yourself before starting paid advertising. Again, what are you willing to spend to acquire a paid client or customer? Now, the reason why answering that question is so vital is because with paid advertising, guys, and using paid advertising to scale your business, you need to have a plan going into it. If you just shoot in the dark and hope and pray that the best comes out of it, you're essentially, failing to plan is planning to fail. That quote applies here more than probably any scenario I can possibly think of right now. So you need to be able to plan and look at what am I willing to spend to acquire a customer. So for example, again, let's just go back to the ad agency example. Let's say you charge a $2,500 a month retainer to your e-commerce clients, right? If you are, say for example, you're like, I don't really want to spend more than $400 to acquire a client, which means you don't want to have to spend more than $400 to then make $2,500 out. You're asking for trouble because advertising costs, especially in a B2B market like, say, an advertising agency serving e-commerce stores, aren't cheap, right? This isn't, Facebook and YouTube aren't what they were back in freaking, 2014, right? Can you acquire customers for a cost of $400 to $500? Sure. Although what I will say is from my experience, it tends to be a bit higher than that in a B2B market. So expect higher. And again, you have to be willing, quite frankly, to spend a bit more than what you think you're willing to spend. So I think it was a quote by Russell Brunson, or I can't remember who said it, but essentially someone said that they recommend spending the same amount that you make on the front end from that customer to then acquire that customer. So for example, let's say you charge $2,500 a month to an e-commerce client as an ad agency. I would recommend that you are willing to spend at least $2,500 to acquire that client. Now, you might be thinking, well, why would I want to spend the same to make the same back? Wouldn't that just mean I'm breaking even and I'm not actually making any money? On the front end, yes. On the back end, no, which leads me to my next point, which is the third most important question you have to ask yourself, which is, what is the lifetime value of my client slash customer, right? Because on the surface, if I say, hey, you need to spend $2,500 to go and make $2,500, you're gonna be like, well, dude, I don't want to spend the same to make the same. I'm not making any money. Although, if I ask you, what is the average retention rate or the stick rate for your clients inside of your ad agency, for example, and you say, our clients tend to stick around for 6 months, $2,500 times 6 is $15,000, which means every client you have brings you $15,000 in revenue. So now, if you actually zoom out for a second and look at the lifetime value of your customer, you're now spending $2,500 to make, over the course of 6 months, $15,000. So let's just do a little bit of a calculation here. I'm gonna pull out the calculator and see what is that return on ad spend. So $15,000, right? So 6x ROAS, right? You're literally making 6 times your money back. That's freaking awesome, right? Especially if you're looking at the course of the lifetime value of a customer. Now, let's take another example. Let's say you run an online coaching program and you have an offer that's 12 weeks and say it's $6,000, right? Let's say you're teaching people how to, start a photography business or something like that, right? Every single client that comes in, is worth at least $6,000 in revenue for your business, right? Now, right, let's say that you have a back-end offer. It's what we call a back. There's the front end of a business, right? And there's the front end acquisition, and then there's the back end and the back end acquisition, right? You have to take both into account. Again, you have to look at these things when thinking about, should I start spending money on advertising, right? Now, let's say, again, you have a 6K core front end offer, and then on the back end, you have, let's say, what we call like a continuation offer, which is something is really, really common in online coaching businesses, highly recommended, is, again, let's say after the 12 weeks, there's sort of maybe additional support you can offer your clients or even advanced strategies or whatever. Just think of it as like the next level for your existing clients. Let's say they start a photography business, you help them get their first few clients, and then in this continuation offer, you offer a little bit more support, say like, an extra one-on-one call every single week if you can manage that, or maybe they have a call with one of your coaches. And on top of that, you're also gonna help them go from 3 clients to 30 clients and build out a small team so that they can scale their photography business to 6 figures a year, 6 figures a month, whatever it is, right? Just spitting off the top of my head here. And so let's say that continuation offer is $1,500 a month, right? And it's a 3-month continuation program length. So $1,500 a month for 3 months is the continuation offer, which means the back end offer in total is worth $4,500 in additional revenue. And now let's take another 2 very important statistics here. And let's say every single month you enroll 10 clients into your $6,000 offer, right? So that means $60K a month in revenue from the front end core photography coaching offer. And then let's say 20% of those clients every single month end up enrolling into the back end offer, which is worth $4,500. Again, $1,500 for 3 months, right? So that means every single month, 2 out of the 10 clients you enroll in the front end become continuation program clients for $1,500 a month or $4,500 in revenue. Now let's take those numbers and zoom out over the course of a 12-month time frame, for example, right? So again, you enroll 10 clients a month, right? So 10 clients a month over the course of a year is 120 clients in total, right? And again, let's say 20% of those clients enroll into the back end. So not only did they purchase the core $6,000 offer, so 120 times 6,000, which means over the course of a year, you did $720,000 in revenue. But now let's say that 20% of those 120 clients also enrolled into the back end, which is 24 clients, right? So 24 additional enrollments into the back end. And those 24 clients in total are worth $4,500 in revenue. So 24 times 4,500, it's an extra, don't know if you can see that, $108,000 in revenue. So now if we take that $108,000 plus the $720,000 just from the core offer, we have $828,000 in total revenue that we've made from all of our clients. And there was 120 of them, so we take that total amount of revenue made, right? Divided by the total number of clients, which is 120, and that means that every client is worth roughly $6,900 in total revenue for our business. And now, let's say that we wanted to aim for a 4x return on ad spend. Just for example, I think 4x is really, really healthy. It's a solid number to shoot for. I mean, 2x, right, which is like doubling your money, is okay. But I typically like to shoot a bit higher. Like, let's see if we can get a 3 to 4x, right? Some people even shoot higher than that. They go for like 5 to 6x, which is very, very doable if you have great marketing, great advertising, great sales and client fulfillment, etc. But let's just say we want to shoot for 4x return on ad spend. The question then is, how much, right, will we have to spend to acquire a customer if we want a 4x return on ad spend, knowing each customer is worth $6,900? $1,725. So $1,725 is what you would need to be willing to spend to acquire a customer if you wanted to achieve a 4x return on ad spend, with all those other numbers being true. So guys, again, I hope that what you take away from this video is the question of whether or not you should start spending money on advertising to grow your business isn't necessarily always as simple as, do you just have money in the bank to lose on ads? Sometimes it is, and maybe that's how you want to approach it. But for me, I like to really take a little bit more of a scientific approach with this, right? And so I like to map out, what numbers do I need to hit in order to not just start spending money on advertising, but also in order to make my advertising profitable and make it work for my business from a holistic standpoint. So at the core, guys, if you have an existing proven offer that is already working for clients, right? You do have a budget for ads, right? Like that kind of has to be a given. Like you need money to spend on ads to actually spend money on ads, right? And you have at least a rough idea, maybe not necessarily a super clear idea right out of the gate, because if you've spent no money on ads, right, you don't really have any benchmark KPIs, otherwise known as key performance indicators, to work off of to know what you can shoot for and what you can reasonably hit in terms of cost to acquire a new client. But if you have a rough idea of what you're willing to spend, right, so that's number 3, then you're in a good spot. So proven offer, a budget for ads, and the willingness to spend a certain amount of money to acquire a customer that isn't, super unrealistic, right? So again, ideally, if you're willing to spend the same amount to acquire a customer that you make on the front end and then make the rest of your profit back on the back end, that puts you in a really good spot. Really, really, really good spot to start spending money on ads, right? And so again, guys, I hope this video was helpful. We went a little bit deep here. The biggest takeaway that I will give you from this video, actually there's 2. Number 1 is I highly recommend you take a little bit more of a scientific approach. And the thing is, guys, sometimes this means you have to slow down to then speed up, right? It means you kind of have to take a step back and actually look at these numbers, look at these metrics, look at what your business is actually doing and capable of, right? And start to get an idea of those things by diving deep, which can take a little bit of time, aka hence the slow down, to then speed up, because now you're going into your advertising with so much more clarity when you're looking at these metrics, right? Now, number 2, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take everything I gave you in this video, throw it out the window, and do what feels good for you. Because ultimately, guys, there is also a place in business for intuition and just doing what feels good in your gut, deep in your belly. And sometimes there's something to be said for just figuring it out as you go along. So maybe you're in a position where you're like, you know deep in your gut it's the right time for you to spend money on ads, and maybe you just know you just got to start, and then as you go along, you can then start looking at these metrics, figuring out as you go, et cetera, et cetera. And that approach can work too. I just highly recommend that you definitely have these metrics top of mind. You're tracking them very, very closely on a day-to-day basis. One of the mistakes, and I'll actually talk about this in a separate video. If you click the link in the description, by the time I'm recording this, or by the time I'm watching this, there should be a link to this video. I'm gonna talk to you guys about the mistakes I've made in my own advertising journey and how I've overspent, and big mistakes, big mishaps, things that just kind of went unnoticed, etc., mismanagement. So there are mistakes you can make. So that's why I highly recommend you track your advertising daily, right? Keep a really, really close eye on it. Now, guys, with that said, I hope that video was helpful. A bit of a long one, but I wanted to go as deep as I felt was appropriate for the video to give you guys as much clarity and as much insight as possible. Again, hope that was helpful. If you haven't already, like this video. If you did like it, actually, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, turn on post notifications. And I can't wait to keep delivering content and value just like this to you guys, and I'll see you soon. Peace.
Back on deck on my fly back. Really on my pay some respect to my mindset. Head blowing smoke, catch a contact. Really mad they can't stop us. Back on the scene, young conscious.